let's take you to Benue State, where the National Security Advisor, the NSA, to the President, Malam Nasir Nuhu Badu, today has assured the people of Benue State of the federal government's determination to end insecurity. Mr. Badu gave the assurance during a stakeholders meeting in Makurdi following the killings of over 70 persons in Ukuma and Logo local government areas of the state on Good Friday. He said that President Bola Tinubu has emphasized that Benue was not alone in its current security challenges, noting that the entire country was grappling with similar issues, describing the killings as a national tragedy. He says it was an act of evil that visited the state. Let's take a listen to them.
It's not just Nigeria that has been a victim of this type of things. Many countries in the world, many of the countries have lost the fight against these evil people. Sudan today do not have government. Niger today is a military government. Mali is a military government. Burkina Faso is a military government. They face the same problem we are talking about. I worked in Afghanistan in the past. Today, those people who we went, the whole world went to confront, to fight, are the ones who are in charge of Afghanistan. Just to tell you, today in our country, I believe that we are not doing badly, given the massive nature of the problem and the challenge. There is no part of Nigeria today is controlled by them. There is no part of Nigeria is controlled and politically in charge by them. We have done fairly well. We are not yet over. Issue of security or insecurity is not an issue that you can instantly say you will address. We appeal to Nigerians to give us understanding. Appreciate the fact that there are people who are working and that it is a matter of time.
Guma is one of the most productive local governments on agriculture in the state. And if they've been so badly hit as the Sankara axis comprising Sena Ala, Ukum, and Logo local governments, that is the headquarters of yams in the state and in the whole world. Benue counts as #1 producer of yams in the entire world. And that is our headquarters where we have the yams. So if we're talking about food insecurity in the nation, and right home here we're experiencing its shortage, then it means it's not a good omen. But unfortunately for us here in the state, we had, instead of a Good Friday, experienced a Black Friday. We had a venomous attacks on Katsina Ala, on Ukum, and then it took its peak in Logo local government.
Such scenario playing out in what is regarded, the state regarded as the food basket of the nation. And I mean, this is not the first time you will hear attacks on local government areas, and one will be wondering what exactly is going on. Let's speak with the Chief Executive of the state. Governor, Reverend Father Alia is live for us from Makurdi, the capital of Benue State. Thank you so much, Your Excellency, for joining us tonight, and we commiserate with the good people of Benue State and your government and this very dastardly act of these very evil men. The NSA described the incident or the coordinated attacks as an act of evil. We would like to know how you view it, but first and foremost, we understand that the death toll originally put at 50-something has now risen to 72. Bring us up to speed with what we do know right now in respect of the aftermath of the attacks.
Yeah, good evening, Shaun, and good evening, fellow Nigerians. What befell us here in the state during the Holy Week, as per the church's, the Christian calendar, remains quite devastating. It's a terrible calamity, not only in the state here, but the entire nation. That night of Thursday, there was this attack we got wind of. And we understood 5 people were taken to the morgue. And before we could know any further thing, it went to 2, and I mean 2 more corpses came in, and then 12. The moment we just got wind that there was an attack in Ukum local government, again, Ukum shares border with Logo, and then Katsina shares border with the both Logo and Ukum as well. They are, by the traditional divide, they are called Sankara. So the entire axis here has been in the front lines of these attacks for quite some time now. Remember, the context to this is Benue in particular has been in the front lines. We are 23 local governments, 17 were badly affected, badly attacked. And then it went all the way down. And this is over time. This is over time. In some local governments, like in West, the attacks are as old as about 19 years ago when it all began. In Sankara, it's near the same number of years, 18, 19 years ago. In Guma local government here, we had experienced the same thing. Guma was even the most lasting attack period in the state here. I think there's a span over 20 years. Now, when we heard that attacks were being mounted on Ukum local government, we had already sent out our team, to protect and to defend. But by this time, the evil men, the attackers, the bandits, the killers, the murderers were already out there causing their havoc, and many, many more lives were lost. And we never knew this. So by the time the security agents got in there, they had now attacked and ran back. So the following morning, we now realized that many, many more corpses were being brought from the bushes, because as they came at quite in the night, and then people had just ran helter-skelter kind of. But they came in their numbers, we understand. So they had surrounded, a number of villages. Each of the villages they had gone to, they were already just willing to take anything walking or breathing out. And it was the same system they applied in those local governments too. By morning of Friday, we realized more corpses were being brought in. Friday in the Christian circle, it's a Good Friday, when Christ was crucified. And instead of celebrating like every other Christian, we now had to mourn because so many lives had been lost. Our Good Friday became a Black Friday.
Governor.
And then when I went over there again to visit the 2 local governments, Logo and Ukum, who were badly hit, many more corpses were brought in. So plus the ones that were brought into the morgue on Thursday evening, and then Friday. On Saturday, many more were counted, and then we realized that 27 corpses were brought into the morgue in 1 local government. So we now drove into Ukum local government again, and by this time, most of the people lost were being brought back. Their corpses were being brought in from the bushes again, where they had run for shelter, and unfortunately they couldn't, nothing was done for them.
So how many people do we know now that perhaps been killed in these attacks, and perhaps how many people do we have in the hospitals injured?
Yeah, in the hospital we lost one. We lost one person again yesterday. We had lost 3 from Katsina, Alia, and then the numbers have brought to 72 lives lost in those 3 local governments. 3 from Katsina, Alia local government, and then 29 in Ukum local government, and 27 in Logo local government.
So now, Governor, give us an understanding, right? Because it's a troubling situation. And I know Kwande is also Katsina, Alia, Ukum, Logo, and these are local government areas that border each other. And if you look at it, Ukum, for example, is about 100 kilometers from Makurdi, the capital of the state. And you see that these are local government that borders some state like Nasarawa. But these attacks are described as coordinated attacks. Give us an understanding. Is it a reprisal, or who are those that are behind this?
There's no question to that at all. The way it is being executed, planned, and then hit, it's definitely coordinated, very coordinated. Kwande local government shares border with most part of it with the Cameroon, and it is quite porous. We understand that most of the people making inroads into the state by the northeast wing of the state comes through that axis. Ukum shares border with Taraba State. Katsina, Alia shares border with Taraba State. And between Taraba all the way to Nasarawa, it's again a very vast portion. And then from Nasarawa, from Ukum, then Logo, and then from Logo again all the way to Guma local government, and then from Guma it takes on to Zone C, which is the Idoma land. These are very vast borders, and again quite porous. But then these are internal borders. We usually see a flock in from Taraba State. We have been in talks with the governor over there. We've been planning and working in sync to see how coordinated our own planning and works would always be. But again, the terrorists have their own havens in some part of Taraba State, in some part of Nasarawa State, and then in this porous axis between Kwande and Cameroon.
Governor, yeah, so, you call these people terrorists. You use the word Benue is under siege. There are those who say these people came in form of herders. What is the identity, as far as you know, as the #1 citizen of the state? What do you know about this narrative?
Let's have the narrative very correct. We know Nigerians by our own ethnicities. We know we can identify a Fulani man, a Yoruba man, a Hausa man, and all that. We know them. And then with the regular traditional herders, we know them walking with cows, just herders, and then with some stick and at most the machetes. That is not the case. These folks are coming in fully armed with AK-47s, AK-49. They don't bear the Nigerian looks, and they don't speak what we speak. Their Hausa, it's one sort of Hausa. It's not the normal Hausa we Nigerians speak. So it is with the Fulanese they speak. There is a trend of language they speak. And there are some of our people who understand what they speak, and they give it names. They say they are Malians and different form of people, but they are not Nigerians, believe it. This is the second phase we're seeing. The initial one was with the traditional herders. The traditional herders, we had less troubles with them. And it might interest you to know that in a number of cases, when the terrorists now come in, it's the traditional herders that we give us some kind of heads up that certain people have come in, they don't know them, and what these people do with any person on their way is cleared. This is never associated with the other traditional groups that used to pass through to Benue and then they move further down to the south. What we see, what we experience has a new, different, strange face. And it is quite alarming. If you go to Katsina local government now, the entire local government is extremely infested with these terrorists. They have spread themselves everywhere, and they are everywhere. And it's not only this. Believe me, it is a siege. We are under a siege.
Governor,
because out of the 27, out of the 23 local governments, I had mentioned 17. Since we came in, we turned this down so much that 9 local governments were now in the red lines. But again, we fought in a very serious way that the majority of the local governments that are in the red lines, now in the front lines of these insurgencies, are now 6. And it is quite troubling. It is very troubling.
Let me ask you, are we seeing a new strain of terrorist sect or cell in our country with a hosted in your state? Are these, could you describe them as bandits? Or, I mean, we know the nature of Boko Haram terrorists, but this is looking like a very different strain or group or a cell that is totally in a different nature or description as what we understand. From your own understanding and what you know, the knowledge of these people, whom you say, they don't have the nature of the Nigerian, Hausa, Fulani, Benue, Plateau kind of person that you know. Do we have on our hands a new version of terrorism gangs on our soil?
It is very obvious. Definitely, it's very obvious. You know, they may have cells elsewhere, and it's a very strong suspicion that in some element of Nasarawa, and then now it is established that they have some cell in at the border between Nigeria and Cameroon. We say Nigeria, which is currently local government. That these people come in, as they kill, as they maim, as they push people away, they just hit, kill, and then they run back. You know, where are they running back to? Benue is just in the middle of Nigeria, so we're surrounded by states. So they're walking through a number of states to get into us here, Benue. So it should concern every person, including our neighbors. This must be very concerning to all of them. We've been working in sync with the governor of Nasarawa as well, and then the governor of Taraba. But I feel that our efforts at some point work, and then we experience some calm, and then at certain times, when it is planting season, when it is harvesting season, and then the drill will have, it becomes quite unimaginable. So this is deliberate, this is calculated, this is
for what purpose do you imagine,
planned and then
Governor
being
Alia,
executed?
For what purpose do you think these gangs and these evil people are acting? Is it to benefit from the harvest of your people, who are majority of farmers, or what exactly? In Plateau State, the governor told me that it looks like some kind of
Here
intention.
is land grabbing. Here is land grabbing. Here is land grabbing.
So they grab the land and they
host,
they chase the people out and they stay in the land. Is that what they're doing? They're taking the territory.
Yeah, that's what's going on, because there are some local governments here. These people have occupied in the last 15 years. In the last 15 years. And then those are the areas you hear of constant attacks, because they hit and then they go back into the local government hinterlands. So what they do with the store food produce is the batch, the other batch that would come with the herders, they would now open the barns, destroy the food, cut the yams and whatever, the yams and then the corn, the guinea corn, the maize, and then just throw to the cows to eat. That phase now kind of died down. What we see now wears a different face. These come only armed fully, with their own gadgets and machetes and guns. So when they do their own business of attacking and killing and driving people out, after a little while, when everybody is left, then they now come back and take position of those areas.
So, Governor, I'm going to come to something very important. How impacted has farming or agriculture been in your state? Logo, for a long time, has been is renowned for the exploit. That local government is renowned for its exploit in yam farming. How badly has things been impacted right now? Are you afraid about harvest?
No, we are. A number of the harvested were already stolen, destroyed, and now they had to run down back into the township of Zakibian. That is by that exit. So some have run back into Kasina Ala. So there's no more farming activities. Out of 10, we have just maybe 1.5 farming activities. But what we again have experienced is in some local government where initially we experienced some bad hit, like Guma local government. We had some relative calm. Guma local government, Makurdi local government, and some parts of Gwe West local government, and then Gwe itself local government. So farmers have gone back to farm. See, if you come over here, we have one of the largest IDP camp right within the town here, within Makurdi. Most 100% of the IDPs we host here are from Guma local government. Remember, we have spread around a number of 17 IDPs. The host communities are gracious enough to support our IDPs, and a good number of these people are not living in IDP set-up camps per se, but they are living with the neighbors within these communities. When farmers could not go back to farm, definitely we have problems on our hands.
So, Governor, in December,
that is what we're experiencing here now.
In December, there is a recruitment of about 5,000 personnel of the Benue State Civil Protection Guard, including ex-servicemen. Where were they when this was happening? Were they helpless, or what really happened? We thought that with putting this in place, they might be able to repel
they don't.
Go ahead, please.
The guards. The civil protection guards are also around, but they don't carry heavy gadgets. The law does not permit them to do this.
Well, with this experience,
they see,
do you now think that it is important for them to be heavily armed, because the war they are fighting is so guerrilla in nature, that they need to be able to face the enemy with a matching firepower. Don't you think?
Oh, yeah. See, I'm one of those who promote community policing. In fact, I was one of the very first person who supported the ideology. And this is what we need. The uniform people alone are overstretched. There's no gainsaying on this. They are overstretched. What can we do as a state, as nationals, to support what the police and the military and the civil defense are doing out there? The locals are even telling us we want to go and protect our own turf. We want to protect our communities. How do you protect your communities if these people are coming with machetes and then the AK-47 and 49 and some heavy guns and all that?
So that's a similar thing that former Governor Samuel Ortom, the former governor, had asked that the people should be allowed to protect themselves against these marauders and these attackers. Are you thinking in that line to allow your people to defend themselves? You said that the security agencies are overstretched because you are now looking like you are helpless. You can no longer defend your people because these people come heavily armed. What is your option as a protector of your people and the man who has the mandate to protect them?
You know, here's the thing. Fact be told, we need to say big thank you to the Nigerian police, Nigerian army, and the civil defense and the DSS for all they have done here in the state. As per the part of what happened, used to happen before we came in the last 1 year and now 9 months, it was quite horrendous. It was terrible. But what we have been experiencing in the last year and 9 months, the state had largely experienced some relative peace. And it is 100% based on the efforts of the uniformed people. So we must commend them. And the federal government has stood with us and for us all along. The heat, it's now just quite enormous that more hands should come in, because in one local government, eyewitness tells us that when the terrorists come in, they're not just coming in say in their 50s, they're coming in hundreds, 200-300. You know, they're talking about coming on motorbikes, and then one motorbike picks three or four people, and then they're talking about over 200 bikes. That's a lot of terrorists just drusing in. So in as much as there is a very grave need for the defense, including the self-defense of our people, let's not be very sentimental about this. We wouldn't want to have even more scores of deaths on our hands. We simply need to start what could have begun yesterday, thinking on this community policing. We need it. There must be excesses. If we now put our minds on the establishment of community policing, we know the right people to bring in each of the states, and this can be handled. This can be handled.
So, Governor, on a final note, where do you go from here? I know that you will not stand by and allow your people to continue to be killed. Where do you go from here?
We've put in a lot of efforts on this as the state government as well. We got 100 hillocks and distributed to the military, the civil defense, all the security apparatuses we have in the state. And then we also empowered our President Zinda, a task force. And then we brought in these civil protection guards. We have a course again for our own Anyamio to move out there. And so this is the support. We also bought 600 motorbikes and distributed for this. And this is why you hear less attacks and less results.
All right.
I am for the community policing. We need to do this. Yesterday, we have involved again on trying to quell all this, involved our traditional rulers. Yesterday, we had a very fruitful meeting with all the stakeholders from the government to the civil society and the traditional institutions, both in Otukpo, under the Ochidoma, and then under Totif here also in Buku. And why were we doing this? We need for people to understand that we are under siege. They shouldn't just say they will take laws into their hands. They are not prepared to what is coming our way. And this is why we even reminded the NSA this afternoon that the need we have for him to come in, it's like yesterday. At each of the attacks, we've established a good relationship, with his office, and then they have been sending their own support, but there is a grave need here.
All right.
We also need a forward-based operation bases at those borders. If they have the personnel, and then, or if we also a kind of scout from within. We have a number of retired personnel in the military who are so willing to do this.
All right.
But we don't have the gadgets.
No.
So why we are trying to be very law-abiding. Yeah. We've been taking huge advantage of this, we understand. But there is an emergency for now to quell down this insecurity and save lives in these states.
Governor Alia, thank you so much. I would have loved to get, even if it's 15 seconds of your tributes to the Pope Francis, who died as a Reverend Father. How much of him do you know? Just in 15 seconds, if you can say something about him.
Oh, quite a lot, quite a lot. It's quite tragic to the Catholic world. It's one person who represented the common masses, the very poor of the society. And he worked from his heart. Is someone who understood what the rest of people were going through, the immigrants, those who were being enslaved in different forms, and then the less privileged. He did a lot of this for all of us. And he is a big loss. He's someone who also dared so much in the church. I personally learned so much from him as well.
All right.
Representing the poor people, the poor masses, and we'll continue to pray for his repose. And it's my prayer that we have someone who fully understands the human need and wears a human heart, who would image and then who would now carry everybody along and understand the different challenges we have in different parts of the world, to speak for those places and to be there for the rest, not only of the Catholic Church, but of the entire citizenry of the world.
Peace to the entire Catholic world, and especially the people of Benue State. Reverend Father Alia, thank you so much indeed. Our heart goes out to those who have lost close ones and the citizens of the state that have been killed in these attacks. And we're hoping that your government and the federal government will be able to have a stronger hold on the territory to protect the people. Thank you so much indeed for your time tonight, Your Excellency, Governor of Benue State.
Thank you so much, Sherwin. I'm looking forward to doing this again. Appreciate it.